Hello? What's going on, guys? I am Nipperful. Welcome back to my channel. Bringing back the emotional support pumpkin today because we are going to do a JCS reaction video, and your girl's going through some stuff, so I am newly single and ready to be forever alone. Laugh through the pain. I thought we'd react to the curious case of Dalia Dipolito. I've watched a few true crime videos on this case. It's pretty insane. She's a piece of work, let me tell you that. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Right, here we are, let's go. Me and old Pumpernickel here. Best of friends. And Ken the cat. I know. It's hard. Just relax. Alright, here we go. I hope this isn't copyrighted. Oh my god, there's so much copyrighted music in this. But why? I'm a bit suspicious because there wasn't any ads at the beginning of this, so I feel like I probably shouldn't watch this video. No! Change of plan. We are going to watch the interrogation of Stephanie Lazarus, a true sociopath, apparently. Interesting. There's a lot of copyrighted music in that last one. I can't be risking that. No. I want to be growing my channel, not getting my videos blocked. Anywho, let's get into this one.
The detectives created a ruse, inviting Stephanie to come in and advise them on a case involving stolen art. Knowing they were dealing with one of their own, they rehearsed and prepared for the interview more than anything they had done before. Their plan of attack was to keep the conversation as casual as possible for as long as possible, and carefully waited for the key moments to initiate the
Is it just me? Is this continuing on from something? I feel like this is picked up in the middle of a video, but I don't know. We'll just keep going.
confrontation.
Stephanie, I don't know if you know my partner.
Hey,
great.
Hi.
Stars, nice to
Yeah,
meet
see you guys.
How's it going?
Good.
Moving around. Well, have a seat. I didn't want to talk about this in the squad room because I don't know who people are listening.
That's true.
And if we go to my side, everybody's always wondering what everybody else is
sure, no
doing.
problem.
Okay?
The first thing the detectives do is set up a compatible tone with the suspect. She has just stepped foot inside an interrogation room, and the detectives negate the negative implications.
So I'm assuming she's a law enforcement professional as well, somehow involved in the same police department? I don't know. Am I supposed to know about this person? I'm confused. I'm just gonna keep watching. We'll just watch. We'll just let it unfold naturally.
Of such an environment through a friendly disposition. Consultative meetings, such as seeking advice over an art theft, can take place anywhere, and the last place detectives would choose to spend more time in would be an interrogation room. The reason they give the suspect for meeting in such an unusual location is to not spread rumors or innuendo. Yet the real reason is that all firearms have to be checked in before entering the area, and they needed the suspect to give up her gun without alerting suspicion.
Yikes.
But like we're talking about being busy and stuff, we've been assigned a case that we've been looking at.
Okay.
It's a new case, and reviewing the case, there's some notes to see as far as your name being mentioned.
Okay.
Do you know John Rutan?
Try and imagine for one moment that you savagely murdered a love rival in a jealous rage. Over 2 decades had passed since the act. Then all of a sudden, you're brought to an interrogation room and sat directly opposite 2 senior investigators who bring up the name of the man you committed first-degree homicide for.
She killed 4. John Rutan. Interesting. The plot thickens.
John Rutten?
Rutan.
The investigators already knew how to say John Rutten's name correctly. The mispronunciation was a simple strategy to see how the suspect would react. Setting aside the element of the murder, John Rutten was the second longest relationship in Stephanie's life, and a psychiatrist later stated that this pause was 4 times as long as it should have been. She was already being deceptive by acting as if she hadn't thought about that name for so long, giving reason for her prolonged reflection, when in reality, the name John Rutten was engraved in her memory, and even when slightly mispronounced, it would have most likely taken milliseconds for her to realize exactly who the detectives were referring to.
Yeah,
yeah,
she
went to
was
school.
buying herself some time there to get herself in character, possibly. Interesting.
You did?
Yeah.
How long did you know him?
Gosh, I went to school in, let's see, went to UCLA in 19...
It's interesting that she characterized their relationship as going to school together, where if they knew about this person... Sorry, that's the lights on up there, I need to turn off. Surely they would have done the research into their relationship. It's the second longest relationship in her life. I'm assuming it was a long relationship, so why would you bother lying?
78 I started, and, you know, met him at school at the dorms.
She says she met him in the dorms, yet left out the fact that they had dated for 4 years and went
4
on
years.
numerous holidays together. Even though she wasn't asked directly, a truthful subject would most often volunteer this information without
Yeah.
having to be pressed for it.
Exactly.
Were you guys friends? Close friends?
Yeah, we're very close friends.
Yeah.
Especially if... I wish they gave a little bit more context to her relationship with this police department. Why should be called in as an expert? Is she just like an art curator? Who are you?
What's this all about?
Well, it's regarding, it's a case we're working on. It involves John, and in there, some of the statements we reviewed, you know, there's notes and stuff that he knew you and stuff.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we good friends, lived in the dorms for...
More than
I lived in the dorms
friends.
for 2 years.
You guys lived in the same dorm?
Yeah,
Or, oh, okay.
yeah, Dykstra.
Okay. Were you guys just friends or anything else, or?
Yeah, we were good friends.
Yeah.
Well, they
Was there ever any
obviously know
relationship
you
or
were...
anything developed between you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we dated,
Uh-huh.
you know, I mean, what's this all about?
Well, it's relating to his wife.
It's unfortunate that Stephanie's face wasn't captured at this moment, because she would have no doubt been immediately struck by the psychological reaction known as fight or flight. Her brain would have just triggered the influx of a specific cocktail of hormones in order to prepare her to...
Do sociopaths... Are they affected by fight or flight? I suppose anybody is, really. But I thought, you know, one of the traits of sociopathy was not necessarily being affected by that type of thing. I don't know. I'm going to Google it. Google it! The only thing I can find for sociopaths specifically, and most of it's about psychopaths, for sociopaths is on good old Reddit. For somebody who's obviously a sociopath themselves and said there are certain situations where they do have a fight or flight reaction, so the more you know.
either stay and deal with the threat or try and run away to safety. Stephanie chooses to fight.
Okay.
Okay. Did you know her?
Not really. I mean, I knew that he got married years ago.
Uh-huh. Did you ever meet her?
God, I don't know.
Do you know who she was or anything?
Well, let me think. God, it's been a long time ago.
Dang it.
I may have met her. Geez.
The words gosh, God, gee are exclamatory remarks used to express surprise or strong emotion. You will see them used continuously throughout this interrogation, which is the suspect trying to insinuate a vague memory due to a lack of contemplation on the subject matter. She's trying to emit the impression that she would have had no reason to give any further thought to John, or anything related to John, since they stopped seeing each other over 2 decades ago.
You know,
Yeah. Well, let me ask you. You said you dated John. How long did you guys date?
I mean, are you guys, is this something?
As we know, Stephanie is a cop and has been for 25.
Okay. They say, as we know, but where have they explained this in the video? Am I missing a part 1 of this video? I must be. Anyway, we know now, don't we? Stephanie's a cop. But, interesting how, if she is a cop, she must be at least a little bit versed in interrogation technique. So why is she immediately being so defensive and evasive about the facts? And immediately asking them why they're asking all these questions. I don't know. Not very good. Not very good, is it?
5 years. She will be wise to the fact that acting oblivious to the unusual development of the situation will be a glaring red flag in the eyes of the investigators. It's been shown time and again on this channel. Guilty suspects will often try and act naive to a blatant confrontation as a means to avoiding it altogether, whereas truthful subjects will address the confrontation and either refute it, or if it's subtle, want immediate clarification and transparency as to what was being insinuated.
I mean, you said I was going to interview somebody about art and how
Well,
you guys are.
Here's
I mean,
Stephanie, here's the situation. It's basically, we knew that this, when we saw this in this chrono, that maybe, there was some relationship there. That's what the chrono seemed to indicate.
The detective now subtly avoids the question altogether, but instead offers a deceptively reassuring response to the suspect. He makes a very sharp switch from the investigative subject matter to the previous topic of workplace rumors. He brings her focus back to the false perception of them being on her side. Stephanie had just asked what was going on, and now he essentially replies with, "We are your friends. We're doing you a favor."
And we didn't want to come up to you at your desk and ask those kinds of questions or do anything. You know how up there people can see what's going on if you go into an interview room, or people are in there getting
that's
supplies.
okay.
So we wanted to afford you some privacy, some confidentiality to talk about this, because we thought it might be, something, you're married to someone else, obviously, and so forth, and that you...
Yeah, he's definitely doing everything he can to avoid the question of why they're asking these actual questions and what the interrogation, the non-interrogation in her eyes is about. Yeah. Even if I wasn't a cop, I'd probably be freaking out right about now.
not want to, talk about these things in that setting where someone, we don't want the rumor mill or gossip or any of that kind of stuff
I
to
mean,
start.
that's fine. I mean,
So we did this just as a means to try and speak to you in just
Okay,
a
I mean, I
confidential
just-
place where where your business isn't out there for other people in
well, I mean,
your division to
yeah,
know
I
about.
mean,
Whether it be shock or the total reluctance to accept the situation at hand, Stephanie warily accepts the reassuring response without further inquiry into her initial challenge. She instead falls back into her agenda of having a foggy memory with regard to the incriminating contents.
God, that's been a million years ago. I mean, what year is it now? 2009? I mean, I graduated in 82. 82, yeah. We dated. I dated other guys. I'm sure he dated other girls.
Well, let me ask you, roughly how long would you say you guys dated?
Oh, jeez. I couldn't even say. I mean,
jeez.
Notice how she now goes on to over-explain things that don't require an explanation and weren't even inquired about. It's a clear
Yeah, you can tell she's obviously having a very emotional response because, I mean, she's just clearly emotional, isn't she? In why, I don't know. I think if I was in that situation, I would feel, like, fairly off-put if somebody was, if I was an innocent person. Obviously, if you were innocent, you'd be curious about why they're asking you, but you'd just answer the questions, really, wouldn't you? But, she's just doing a really bad job of covering up her anxiety about the situation, isn't she? Which is kind of bizarre of her, cop. Especially if she's, like, a sociopath. Why have they put the moniker of sociopath on this? But, I don't know. We'll see.
cut indication of hyperarousal and a derivative of TMT, also known as terror management theory. The suspect will go off on unrelated tangents as means for gaining momentary relief. Going into detail about trivial things affords her a brief escape from the terrifying reality eventuating before her. This is a very common occurrence in interrogations where the suspect is facing serious charges, and psychiatrists believe it to be a subconscious coping mechanism.
I started school there in 78. I started UCLA in 1978. I graduated in 82. I don't even remember what year he graduated, if it was a year or two.
I think in the back of your mind, wheels would be turning as well about just digging up any sort of story or just getting your ducks in a row in the back of your head, wouldn't it? Just buy you time. Providing a mental refuge, as they've said, through the TMD. I think you'd just be buying yourself time as much as you could, as much as anything as well. In my humble opinion, obviously, I'm not a criminologist or a psychologist, but talk a lot of shit in my time.
Before me.
Okay.
I think he was a little bit older than I was. I mean, I can't remember if he was born, let's say I'm born in 1960. I don't know if he was born in 58 or 59. I mean, I knew his parents. I knew his sister. His brother went to Northridge.
Yeah, that's a lot of unnecessary
detail. Spent the night at my house before. Obviously, I spent the night at his house before. He probably spent the night at my house before. You know, I don't.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, because from what you're telling me, is you guys dated while you were in college together, right?
Yeah, and probably after college. I can't. Geez, trying to think when I met my husband. I met my husband in. When did I meet Scott? Let's see. I was teaching DARE because I met Scott when I was teaching DARE up in Oregon. But we had long stopped, dating before that.
So you haven't talked to him for a long time?
Oh, I think I haven't talked to him in a long time. I couldn't even tell you when the last time I talked to him. I met Scott, I'm thinking in 92 maybe, April of 90.
Yeah, she's like obviously panicking, in my opinion. And if you had cold-blooded murdered somebody, then yeah, you would be panicking. But I mean, you'd think with the tools at her disposal as a cop and apparently a sociopath, she'd be a bit better at lying. I don't know. It's just kind of taking me back a little bit. I think I say it time and time again. I've done a fair few of these videos now, but it always shocks me how these criminals don't come up with alibis. Is it because it's a, crime of passion, or do they just automatically assume they're going to get away with everything? I mean, it's obvious that, I think it's from the sounds of it, it's been a bit of time since she's committed the murder. Especially think being a cop, you'd come up with some sort of backstory in this, eventuality, but I don't understand.
It was
Scott being your husband.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I was teaching DARE. Let's see.
DARE.
We'll be married. I got married in 1996. I think I met Scott in 92.
Dating myself a little bit, but yeah, I remember DARE growing up. I was fairly young at the time, so I think it was early 90s. I was, probably in kindergarten.
Prior to that, I couldn't tell you how long I had talked to John prior to that.
But since you met your husband, Scott, you hadn't talked to him?
I mean, he may have called me once or twice before we got married.
Right.
Geez, I moved to Simi
before you got married.
In 1994.
He called you.
Because I lost my house in the earthquake.
Oh, really?
That sucks.
Quite honestly, I probably keep in contact with a few people from the dorms. We all lived on the 10th floor, and there's about 3 or 4 people I keep in contact with. There's probably like 6 or 8 of us that were all really close.
And who are those people?
Oh, geez. Diana Basta. The people I still keep. I haven't been in contact with her in a long time. I mean, what's?
Hello, Ken. Why would you say? Oh yeah, keep in touch with a lot of people, but I haven't been in touch with them for a long time. Yes, I know. What's going on with this lady, huh? Just embarrassing.
What's this all about? I mean...
Well, let me ask you.
The suspect challenges the detectives for the second time, and once again the question is avoided, but this time in a more confrontational manner, as the topic is maintained with no reassurance afforded. The detectives are ramping up the pressure in a very subtle yet highly effective manner.
What ended the relationship between you and John?
It was kind of a weird relationship. I mean, we dated. I can't say that he was my boyfriend. I don't know that he would consider me his girlfriend. We dated, we did things. I played sports in college, he played basketball, his brother played basketball.
If they know enough to have brought you in for an interrogation, surely they would have some insight into the nature of your relationship with this person. Why would you lie? Why would you lie? It makes you look more suspicious, doesn't it? Do you agree? Ken definitely agrees.
We just, you know, it just didn't work out. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It was like I went out with other guys, saw other guys. I went on lots of vacations.
Together,
you know,
apparently.
And once you guys split, were you guys still friends, or kind of, you know,
I mean,
problems? Is it friendly, not friendly?
no, I don't think it was not friendly. I mean, we were friendly. I know that we went to Hawaii at one point.
At least she's admitting that
Yeah,
she
I mean,
finally
you know,
went on holiday with him.
And you were
It's-
saying that
it's 2009 now.
had you ever met his wife?
I may have.
Do you remember her name or anything, or?
Um,
Or what she did for a living, or where she worked, or anything about her?
The suspect was just asked 3 consecutive questions relating to the victim. She was supposedly in a reflective state during all 3 of the questions, yet her facial expression completely changed for the 3rd one. This is because she was pretending to be in a state of reflection for the first 2 questions, as she already knew the answers, whereas for the 3rd question, she actually was in a state of reflection and was genuinely searching her memory for the correct response.
Had you ever met his wife?
I may have.
Do you remember her name or anything, or?
The 3rd question is about to be posed, and her focus is about to switch from pretending to be thinking to actually thinking.
Or what she did for a living, or where she worked, or anything about her?
Interesting.
Well, I think
Yeah, her face definitely relaxed a lot more, didn't it? It was much more natural looking rather than, oh, jeez, I don't know. I don't know. Did I meet her? Did I not? Derp, derp, derp.
I'm going to say I think she was a nurse. Man, I can't remember how he said he met her. You know, I mean, I mean, it's been so long ago.
Well, let me ask you, did you go to their wedding, you know?
No, I didn't go to their wedding.
Well,
No.
surely she would have met her if she went to their wedding. Come on.
No, did not go to their wedding. Couldn't even tell you what year he got married. I mean, you know, it's been a million years ago. You know, again, I mean, what, you know, I don't understand why you're talking about some guy I dated a million years ago.
Well, do you know what happened to his wife?
Yeah, I know she got killed.
You wouldn't need to be an expert in body language to recognize the unmitigated terror emanating from the suspect.
Look at those eyes. Oh, jeez. She's cacking the khakis, as they say.
Face at this moment. She had just verbalized the victim's tragic demise for the first time in most likely over 2 decades.
What did you hear about that?
I saw a poster at work. I'm sure I spoke to him about it.
Well, I think if you were trying to cover it up well enough, you would have said, oh, yeah, keep in touch with the old dorm mates and all dorm friends. We all knew about it. Everybody knew about it. We were all friends. Everybody's chummy.
I think I spoke to another friend of his about it.
And how did you first learn about that?
Jeez.
Jeez.
Someone could have called me. I could have heard it at work. I think at one point there may have been a flyer or something. I know a good friend of his.
Were you on the job back then when that happened?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm sure I was on the job. That's why I would have heard about it with the flyer. He had a good friend, Mike Boldrick, you know.
But being that you're kind of used to see John, you know, was everything okay between you guys? I mean, there was never anything uncomfortable or anything between you and her?
8 separate witnesses testified that Stephanie had confronted Sherry at the hospital she worked at, while the 2 of them were reportedly...
And it goes back to active. If they know enough to have pulled you in as a suspect, they would know. They would know if you were seen publicly confronting a later murdered woman. I just don't understand.
supposedly in an intimate relationship with John. The confrontation was said to have been highly aggressive, and Stephanie had to be escorted off the premises by security. Reports stated that Stephanie was by far the more combative and even made threats against Sherry's life.
You know, I don't know. I mean, it's been so many years. I mean,
Honestly.
uncomfortable. I mean, I can't even remember if we had a conversation. I mean, we may have. I may have seen her at his apartment. You know, geez, how many years ago is that? I don't even know what year she, got killed.
Where was his apartment?
Notice her passive disposition as she gives the following truthful response.
On Roscoe.
Okay.
Yeah, Roscoe and
Yeah, it's interesting because she obviously knows exactly where the apartment was. But first part, face is much more relaxed, much more natural. But she's trying like, oh, it's really hard to remember because I'm just not familiar with it. This, caricature facial expressions come back into play, don't they?
east or west of DeSoto. Either east or west of DeSoto.
Do you know where he moved after? Did he move after he got married, or do you know? Or
Now notice how her disposition switches from passive to frantic as she once again pretends to have a vague memory.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
Did you know where he was living, or
somewhere in the valley?
Did you ever visit him and his wife?
No.
No, never
No.
went out to, get together, dinners, anything of that nature?
No. Like I said, his sister used to come over. His sister had come to my place. I knew his brother because his brother played basketball at Northridge. In fact, I was just coming across some pictures that I just scanned from. I take a lot of photos, like 10,000, and I just
That's
did
a lot of
search where I
photos.
scanned everything.
And after his wife died, did you talk to him again or anything?
Yeah, I mean, I did talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to him, probably his parents, probably some other friends.
So, alright, I'm back.
I'm sure I talked to him.
Yeah.
but you're not sure where he moved to after he got married?
No idea. I mean,
Never went over to visit him, or
I don't think.
meet
I
his
mean, I
wife,
don't
or-
think so. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think I did.
That's not a natural facial expression, is it?
I mean, I know he lived on Roscoe for a long, long time.
And you're right.
I mean, if you guys are claiming that I'm a suspect, then, I got a problem with, with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, of course you do.
So, if you're doing this as an interrogation, you're saying, "Hey, I'm a suspect." Well, now I got a problem with, now you're accusing me of this. Is that what you're saying?
We're trying to figure out what happened, Stephanie.
Well,
Did you see that look? Those eyes are terrified. Oh my gosh.
What happened, Stephanie?
I'm just saying. Do I need to get a lawyer if you're accusing me of this?
You don't have to. I mean,
I'm just-
you're here of your own free will. I mean,
No.
you
Oh,
don't-
I know, but
you're not under arrest. You can walk out
you
whenever
can leave
feel
whenever
like.
you like.
Well,
But-
I'm trying to give you some background of how I knew him, and now you're telling me that somebody's saying that we had this big old fight, and I don't even know what you're talking about. And I don't want to get in trouble for something that I didn't even do, or you're saying I did something.
Okay.
Yeah, we understand.
I mean, how would you guys like it if the tables were turned on you?
I understand. No.
Nobody
that's
would
what we're
like
telling
it.
you. I mean, you're free to go whenever you want. If this makes you uncomfortable,
But not everybody murders people, Stephanie.
you want to.
Well, now you're starting to make me uncomfortable.
The thing is, I mean, detectives did what they could at that time on the crime scene. Okay, and the burglary thing you're talking about, that is an angle that they looked at. But
Look at that jaw. Ooh, set. She is tense.
now we're looking at everything else on the case. Because nobody was ever arrested on the case.
I don't know that or not.
Okay. What we'd like to do is, obviously you know about all the DNA stuff and things of the nature that, gets done on cases nowadays. If we asked you for a DNA swab, would you be willing to give us one?
Maybe. Because now
I bet back when this murder was committed 20 years ago, there wasn't a lot of DNA going around, was there? I wonder when was it they started using DNA? Was it as early as the 80s? It's more like 90s. I think I might have to Google it. There we have it, folks. 1986. That's, I guess, when you think about it, probably about what I would expect mid-80s, but I didn't know. I felt like it gotta go either way, either, potentially used in the 70s or as late as the, 90s, but 1986. Just a little googly moogly there for you.
Now,
because
now I'm thinking I probably need to talk to a lawyer. I mean,
defensive.
because I know how this stuff works. Okay, don't get me wrong. You're right. I have been doing this a long time, and I wish I had been recording this because now it sounds like there's. You're telling these people saying I'm fighting with her.
I'm sure
and now
they're recording it, Stephanie. Don't worry.
I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah,
we know.
Okay. And now it almost sounds like you're trying to pin something on me. No, now I got that sense.
Well, what it gets to on these cases, and you know it as well as I do, our job is to identify and eliminate suspects.
I can't believe this.
So if we ask you to the point to give us a DNA sample, a buccal swab, so we can identify or eliminate you, would you be willing to do that?
Maybe. Because I know this.
Well, that's where we're at too. I mean, because right now, from looking at the evidence, it's it's possible we may have some DNA at the location.
That's.
Oh shit! You got cooked there, Stephanie. DNA. There's no arguing with that.
Great.
And we're going to do what we can to try to put this thing together. And your name's in the book. These people are pointing at you for whatever reason.
I don't know why. That's just crazy. I mean, that's absolutely crazy.
And it would be irresponsible on our part not to look at it.
I know. You guys have to do your job, and I guess I'm going to have to contact somebody. So.
That's fair.
I mean, because I know how this stuff works. I mean, I just can't believe it.
That's. I mean, we understand that. I mean, if we were in your position, I mean, we would feel the same way.
But also, if you know how this stuff works, that if you were innocent, DNA would be your best bet to confirm that. Would it not?
I can't believe it. I mean, it's just. I mean, I'm shocked. I'm really shocked that somebody would be saying that I did this. I mean, we had a fight, and so I went and killed her. I mean, come on.
Well,
that's.
Okay.
That's how these things happen.
Thanks for giving me the courtesy. I wish I could record it.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Stephanie, take care.
All right.
Oh, jeez. I wonder what he said then.
This is absolutely crazy.
She's coming back in.
This is insane.
Okay.
Was she handcuffed? Ken, my dude. Come here. Come on. Come here.
Okay. Stephanie, you know you have the right to remain silent. Do you understand?
Oh, she was handcuffed.
Anything you say may be used against you in court. Do you understand?
Yeah.
You have the right to the presence of an attorney before and during any questioning. Do you understand?
Yes.
If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you free of charge before any questioning if you want.
She's freaking out.
Do you want to talk to us right now?
No.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
This
then.
is crazy. This is I'm like in
Is it
shock.
the-
I'm totally in shock.
This afternoon, we are back on the record in People versus Lazarus.
Verdict.
Shortly before noon, the jury announced they have a verdict. We will take the verdict at this time.
People of the State of California versus Stephanie Eileen Lazarus. Case number BA 357423. We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Stephanie Eileen Lazarus, guilty of the crime of murder of Sherry Rasmussen
Dun, dun,
in violation
dun.
of Penal Code Section 187A, a felony, as charged in count 1 of the information.
Ken, come on, bud. You'll have to pardon me. Ken just had to go on the naughty step. Otherwise known as just being booted out of the office.
We further find the murder was of the first degree.
Your Honor, I'm John Rutten. Thank you for the opportunity to speak during this hearing. There are really no words that can describe the loss of Sherry and the whole of this experience, so it makes no sense to talk very long. It suffices to say that the Rasmussen family, my family, and Stephanie's family have been thrust into a bizarre world of disbelief and indescribable sadness. Sherry Rasmussen had a profound impact on so many people. And I was proud that she agreed to be my wife. It was impossible not to notice Sherry when she entered a room. To me, her physical presence was startling. I can clearly remember the first moment I laid eyes on her. Sherry Rasmussen was a physical presence, and my heart still races when I look at pictures of her. But Sherry was extraordinary, more for who she was than the way she looked. She was a hard worker, a consummate professional, a leader, a diplomat, forgiving, tough, and a kid at heart. Sherry's loss, the way she died, and the trial 25 years after her death has had a profound impact on many, many others. The effects are broad and span a generation, creating pain for those whose lives should have never been touched by this tragic event. Again, words are feeble tools for describing these impacts, but there are so many moments and so very many tears. And the fact that Sherry's death occurred because she met and married me brings me to my knees.
Stephanie Lazarus was sentenced to 27 years to life for the murder of Sherry Rasmussen.
Some crazy
She's
eyes,
currently
man.
being held inside the maximum security unit of the Central California Women's Facility.
That's crazy.
Any other cars that stand out in your mind?
What is that face? My goodness. Well, that was a video, wasn't it, guys? I mean, I do feel like it was missing a lot of context. There must have been like a part 1 to that video, something that I'm not able to find anywhere. This microphone is driving me freaking nuts. I think it's all right now. But yeah, again, I consistently find with these videos that I am amazed by how dumb criminals truly are. I mean, yeah, I think that's one thing. If you watch a lot of like crime procedural shows or movies about criminals and stuff like that, you just automatically kind of assume that people who commit crimes, commit murders, especially first degree ones, are clever enough to be able to cover it up, but apparently not. Obviously, heart goes out to Sherry Rasmussen's family, everybody affected. That victim impact statement, that was a hell of a thing. Man, poor guy. Sucks. Yeah, just a short video today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share the video. Do all those nice things. And I will see you next time. Thank you. Goodbye.